Hello my friends, finally we have a new military map update with a confirmation about the Ukrainian advancement in Sosnivka direction. This is the southwestern part of the front lines Dnipropetrovsk region, and not just Sosnivka was liberated but also a very small Horoshe village. But according to my data, Ukraine went a little further towards Vorona, and Russians were already forced to leave this small village. Plus they moved back across Vorona river, so Russia lost positions quite fast in this direction, and that is pretty much good. But at the same time, Russians are trying to encircle Ukrainian positions from this southern part. For the last 24 hours they expanded this attack direction with a gray area. So obviously Ukraine now has to counteract to that part. It is 110th Brigade which was deployed in this entire battlefront. And yeah, they don't have like lots of the resources, but they're very capable and they're fighting like hell here. And we have the same confirmation from the Myko Center 3 analytic. Sosnivka was liberated, Horoshe as well, and the Vorna village is fully in the gray zone. But again, according to the information from the ground, it looks like Ukraine liberated this one as well. So 3 villages per couple of days. Fantastic. So the situation on the front lines is not that great for Russians in general. Yes, they got some of the success before, but now we see how they bogged down in multiple of the directions. Yeah, there is now a threat for Pokrovsk, for Konstantinovka. Russians entered Kupiansk city, but everything of that for now is not very crucial or disastrous for Ukrainian army. And in multiple of the directions, Ukraine even manages to counterattack. Like for example, in Pokrovsk-Dobropilya, many of the Russian troops were just encircled by Ukrainian forces. Fantastic. And we see that previously profitable direction of Dnipropetrovsk Oblast is not that profitable for Russians any longer. They also start to lose the ground there because they're unable to secure the territorial gains they have, which means in general disorganization of the Russian army. Plus, every day Ukraine strikes Russian refineries. We have some interesting news about that one. Oh, what is that? A fire of the Russian refinery? No way! This is the Kirchnefteorg-Synthos refinery, located really far away from Ukraine, roughly 1000 kilometers, and this is the NASA satellite fire detection image, so definitely there is a kaboom of this refinery. This refinery is located in Leningrad Oblast. The previous refinery also was hit out there, so Russia lost 2 per day. Yes, they didn't burn like entirely, but Ukraine usually hits the initial distillation units, and without those you cannot refine oil. It's impossible. And to repair those distillation plants, well, you need lots of the time, money, which Russia doesn't have. Well, even before the last week there was the information published that Russia lost 40% of the refineries, and I would say it is even more. And St. Petersburg, which is in the same oblast with those refineries, it may struggle. It may not have enough fuel for any sort of the needs. Well, before Russia tried to secure the stability of the fuel supplies into Moscow region and to St. Petersburg, but we'll see how they manage it right now. Well, also in the same region, in the area of Lake Onega, Republic of Karelia, it's not far away from Finland, Ukraine hit the Russian small rocket ship. It is called Buran M. We have this official report from the Ukrainian Military Command, General Staff Command. And they call it a small ship. Well, definitely it's not that big, but it may carry some of the missiles. Also, it has a huge surveillance antenna and some of the hint of the stealth-like design that Trump doesn't like. He said, I don't know about stealth, but I like the old design of the ships. I like this design, honestly. And I'm happy that it was probably hit. Probably, I mean, because I cannot confirm it by 100%. Yeah, it's better to trust our officials, but I would like to see some of the drone videos, footages, eyewitnesses. For now, I don't have those to present to you. Yesterday it was the same stuff with some of the radars in Crimea. Still, I'm waiting for more confirmation. I hope it will be provided. So the ship was somewhere over here, hit not far away from Finland, as you see, and this is the occupied territory of Finland, Karelia region of Russia. Soviets occupied this region of Finland and still keep control over it. Targeting Russian ships is important because they are used for provocations against our allies. For example, Denmark reports repeated Russian naval provocations in its straits. So Russian ships go close to Denmark and they aim their weapons towards very important military facilities. Well, I guess Ukraine may handle this threat for NATO because Ukraine is an active war state with Russia, and that's why with the proper weapons, Ukraine may try to eliminate Russian ships. And by the way, Ukraine already did it using, for example, Storm Shadow missiles. Ukraine absolutely demolished Russian big landing ships. Also, a couple of the missiles hit the Russian submarine in Sevastopol. So this red line for Russia has already been crossed, and today's kaput, possible kaput of the Russian ship close to Finland is one more evidence of the Ukrainian capabilities. I guess Ukraine will not stop on the spiderweb operation. No, it will expand. And Zelensky said that there's gonna be way more strikes on Russian territory, as well as different Ukrainian officials. They confirmed this information. Maybe there are going to be some of the missiles even used, and if we trust some of the legacy media, if we may trust them, well, they say that the United States and Europe will provide Ukraine with precise intelligence to bypass the Russian air defense to hit more of the Russian refineries. It is outstanding. About Tomahawk missiles, some of the media say it's not possible, like for example Reuters. Other media say that Trump really wants to supply Tomahawk missiles, but he thinks that the United States would need those as well. That's why he's not supplying. Well, we'll see. Anyways, after all, Ukraine has its own missiles. It's Flamingo. It's way bigger than Tomahawk. It's actually good from one side and bad from another side. It's way easier to shut down that big missile compared to Tomahawk, but there were even the cases then Ukraine used Tupolev 141 Stryj. Actually, it's the flying target for practice, but Ukraine configured it into the real cruise missile with some of the payload, and in 2022 those reached Engels airfield. And you see the design? It's very similar to Flamingo, and the size is almost equal. And back then Russians were not capable to shut it down. So I'm still quite optimistic about Flamingo because Ukraine has the experience sending those big flying objects really far away into Russia. By the way, it was the first strike on Russian strategic bombers. At least one Tupolev 95 was flatlined, the other one received damages. Well, Russians, they're actually trying to shut down drones and missiles flying to them. However, still they're not doing it very effectively. Russia itself is big, but recently they put more of the air defense systems close to Ukrainian border because everything flies, after all, from Ukraine. So they want to build a defense lines from their air defense systems. However, they're in lack of those because Ukraine may launch drones towards Krasnodarsky Krai, to the southeast, also to the north, to Leningrad Oblast, as it happened a couple of days already. So I don't think it's really possible for Russians with their current amount of the air defense systems to build that line, especially when Putin wants to get those air defense systems to work for him personally in the places he lives. Also, the day before yesterday, Putin visited Sochi, allegedly, and Ukraine also launched some of the drones to Sochi. I read some of the Russian news telling that Putin nearly escaped the strike on him. yeah, they want to show that Putin is really risking his life for the government duties. And again, there are drone provocations elsewhere in Europe. For example, yesterday, Munich airport alone was closed 2 of the times per single day. It is crazy. Drones were also spotted in Belgium yesterday. The situation with drones is absolutely out of control, and I don't hear any sort of the reports about those drones being shut down by NATO countries, which is strange. I know that Ukraine sent some of its drone air defense units to Denmark, and now they're ongoing common training together with Danish soldiers. They teach them how to use small interceptor drones to fight against Russian threats. As we know, Ukraine is very successful in shutting down Russian drones. And yeah, we have those photos from Denmark. This is a Ukrainian drone interceptor that was delivered to Denmark, and here are our guys together. Yeah, Ukrainian flag is over there, and probably that's a Ukrainian drone operator, so they're doing this common exercise. So because Russia is unable to reach its goal on the front lines, they start, what? Once again, attack Ukrainian civilian infrastructure. Today in Shostka, Russian drone hit one of the civilian trains. Unfortunately, there are some of the life losses among Ukrainians. Not military, no. So this is the carriage wagon very close to locomotive, and it's been hit by Shahid drone. And definitely this is a civilian train. That's the standard color. You see also shrapnel hit the train nearby. Lots and lots of the holes here. Russians disturb Ukrainian logistics, hitting trains. It was a coordinated strike. Russians monitored the train using their surveillance drone, and later on they hit the train. The train, again, is a civilian one. Well, Ukrainian officials say that China provides Russia with intelligence information relative to the targets in Ukraine. As for example, Ukraine gets its intelligence from the Western countries, but it seems like Chinese intelligence gives only civilian targets. Or, as the most probable variant, the Russian regime is just bloodthirsty, and they hit absolutely everything. So the goal for Russia is to terrorize the Ukrainian population, to cause Ukrainians to rebel against the Ukrainian government, to disturb Ukraine from inside. That is the main goal of those strikes. But so far, Russia is not successful in reaching that goal. Also, they disturb Ukraine from inside, brainwashing people, trying to do it, yeah? I see many of the speakers out there in the social media, also people who speak Ukrainian, who just spread the Russian propaganda. And my duty here actually is to counter propaganda, a Russian one. So thank you guys for joining me here on this fight, because it is also very, very important. And you know, guys, this night seems to be not very calm for Ukraine, because Russia is preparing the strike using their strategic aviation and cruise missiles, which they're going to launch from their ships not far away from Crimea. Also, they already launched multiple of the drones towards Ukraine. Well, after I record this video, I'm gonna stream on my other channel. It's, by the way, in the video description just below. And simultaneously, I'll stream on my Twitch. So if you want, you may join, and there I update you live. Wow, it seems like Greece is willing to transfer to Ukraine 60 of M110A2 artillery systems, or Hotvisors, it's better to say. Also 150,000 artillery shells and lots of the other stuff. Greece, thank you. Well, for now, Greece has just plans for it. I hope that they will go into real life. The situation with the Czech initiative might be put under the question, because their populist Andrej Babiš won elections. It is very bad for us, for democracy, for Ukraine, because many times he said that he's against Ukrainian EU membership, and also he's against Ukrainian military support, especially with the Czech initiative. Well, Petr Pavel is still a president out there, but we see how far rights are winning elections. Usually they've been fed by Russian money. Also, leftists, by the way, were fed by the Russian money, but they didn't go into parliament this time. People didn't support them, so far rights or far lefts, they usually have the same idea actually, and the same sponsor in Moscow. So there's the chance for Czech Republic turn into some sort of the Slovakia or even Hungary. But in Hungary, I'm sure that Orban is unable to win next elections. He's not popular. He was in power already for a very, very long time, and people just got fed with Orban. They want to change him. But despite who is winning those elections in whatever country, Ukraine has the same thing to do, to defend itself against Russian aggression. With support of the other countries or without it, Ukraine has no choice. Georgia is on the protests again. What are they doing there? Are they burning the Russian flag? No way! Russia will scream that it's Russophobia. Oh my god, for what? Poor Russians. Why do they burn their flag? Come on. Yeah, I'm still, guys, wondering how was it possible for Georgians to elect pro-Russian party after what Russia done to them in 2008, of course. But yeah, it's the current reality, and they have to protest against their own main party. Yeah, people protest there even now, and they did it before after parliamentary elections, but there is no vivid outcome from their protests, unfortunately. Well, guys, if you want to support the job that I do here on YouTube, please follow me on Patreon. The link for my Patreon page is in the video description just below, or support me on membership of the channel, obviously, if you can. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.